If you're unfamiliar with gamingsins or cinemasins, they basically take an overly critical look at games and films and award sins for things the game or film did wrong. I know I'm not being original here, but this is my everything wrong with for everything wrong with Mortal Kombat X. Yes, so what, they released a video in 2015. Who cares? Shut up! The main things to remember heading into this video are that it's all in good fun, I mean no ill will to the guys who made the original video, and I'm always right. It's going to be a long ass project, so I'm probably going to split it into 2 videos. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's critique the critics, shall we? And remember, I'm always right. This is everything wrong with Mortal Kombat X. Let's do this.
WB Games.
Wow, talk about sins of the father. I don't think the game should be punished just because Warner Brother Games published it.
Gotcha!
Easy fatalities.
Easy fatalities are harmless. If you ignore them, it's like they don't exist. There's literally no downside to their existence. Not buying them doesn't mean you're missing out on anything or that the game is somehow less fun.
Gotcha!
This game's PC launch.
I mean, look, I ain't gonna argue with you on this one.
Having to pay $5 for a set of easy fatalities, even though you can literally pause the game to do the fatality and finish off your opponent.
Finish him! Wins.
And since this set is $5, we're gonna add 5 sins.
Yes, you can pause the game and check your fatality inputs, but only if you're playing offline. Everyone I know who plays MKX spends most of their time playing online, and you can't pause online. Sure, you can bring up the moves list, and if you're quick enough, you can navigate to the fatality list, find the fatality you want to do, check the input, close the menu, and do the fatality. But if you've got the wherewithal and quick fingers to do all that, I'm pretty sure you can memorize fatalities anyway. Again, how does the existence of easy fatality tokens make the game less fun for you? And since you're doubling up on the easy fatality tokens, I'm going to double up on how many sins you gave here.
See these Cold War and Brazil packs? Yeah, they're not included in the Season Pass. You gotta purchase them separately. So, to all of you who did get the Season Pass, do you feel like a sucker now? Because you should. And since both skin packs are $4 each, we're gonna add 8 total sins.
Except there is no season pass. There's 2 combat packs, which contain new characters and some skins, and there's a bunch of skin packs on the side, but there's no season pass. What you're doing here is effectively calling a Call of Duty map pack a season pass, then complaining that the map pack doesn't contain all the game's DLC from all the other map packs. Maybe if Combat Pack 1 was marketed as having all the game's DLC, you'd have a leg to stand on. As it happens, it seems like you're saying people who bought Combat Pack 1 should feel like a sucker just because you don't know what you're talking about. And that's a sin.
Gotcha!
See this Cold War Scorpion skin? It was a pre-order bonus exclusively at GameStop. And look at it now. It's free! Further proving that pre-order bonuses are completely full of shit.
Hold on, wait. You just gave the game a sin for proving that pre-orders are completely full of shit? You should be removing a sin for that. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give you 2 sins. One for what you did, and one for not doing what you didn't do.
Gotcha!
Blue Steel Sub-Zero is basically a recolored version of the Gold Scorpion skin. And the worst part is, you actually gotta pay for this one.
You mean to tell me there's a skin for Sub-Zero that's nothing more than a palette swap of a Scorpion skin? Wow, it's almost like that's historically accurate to the series, dating all the way back to the very first game or something. Also, you're implying that you don't have to pay for the Gold Scorpion skin, despite the only way of obtaining it being to buy the collector's edition of the game, which costs over £100. But yeah, having to pay £1.99 for the Sub-Zero skin is the real injustice here. I noticed you also neglected to mention the fact that the money from the Blue Steel Sub-Zero skin went into the prize pool for an official Mortal Kombat tournament. I, for one, had no issue paying a tiny amount for an awesome skin, knowing my money was going to help the community. 1 sin for complaining about palette swaps, and 1 sin for ignoring the huge paywall built in front of the gold skin while complaining about a tiny fee for the blue steel skin.
Gotcha!
And since it's $2, we're gonna add 2 sins.
Oh, you want to play it like that? Well, since the going rate on eBay for a gold scorpion code seems to be around £40, I guess I'll add 40 sins.
You suck.
Do you have money to waste? Do you not have enough time? Do you want to unlock all the goodies the easy way because you suck at Mortal Kombat? Well, pay $20 to unlock all the crypt items! And since this option is even in the damn game and it costs $20, we're gonna add 20 sins!
Wow, you managed to list the 2 kinds of people who might actually appreciate this kind of offer, those with too much money or those with too little time, and also managed to insult them, implying that they're bad at Mortal Kombat, despite a player's skill having nothing to do with crypt items that are bought with coins earned by simply playing the game. You don't need skill, you just need time. And some people don't have that. One sin for complaining about the crypt unlock while in the same breath acknowledging the people for whom it might seem appealing.
Gotcha!
And one sin for insulting people's MK skill just because they might not have all day, every day to grind coins.
Gotcha!
And since this is the third time you've sinned the game's completely harmless microtransactions that have literally no downsides, I'm going to triple the sins you gave here.
And you want to know what's even worse? They deliberately gimped coin earnings regardless of what difficulty you play on. So just for that, add 20 more sins.
You claim they gimped coin earnings, but you can equip items on your player that greatly speed up your coin gains, which kind of negates your argument. And unless you provide a source for your claim that they gimped the coin gains, I'm just going to have to do what you're doing and throw another 20 sins on there just for the hell of it. In fact, if we're going to be really picky and unabashedly dole out 20 sins for tiny little things, I'm going to have to give you 20 sins for spelling coins with a C. Coins in MK are spelled with a K, obviously. Shame on you for making such a grievous error.
And if you didn't pre-order Mortal Kombat X, you did not get Goro, even though he's already on the damn disc locked behind a paywall. And since he's $5 if you didn't pre-order, we're gonna add 5 more sins.
I'm not going to sin you for this, because it's all true. It wasn't an issue for me, of course, because I pre-ordered it just so I could play as Goro. Most games have shitty, pointless, mid-tier garbage as pre-order bonuses. At least this was an actual good bonus for pre-ordering. Did I mention pre-ordering was free? While the points you made here were true, they were very easily avoidable.
Classic Katana, Classic Melina, Ninja Mime Johnny, Injustice Scorpion, and Farmer Jacks are only available to unlock through the stupid mobile game.
Not going to sin you here either. I had no issues playing the mobile game and getting these easy unlocks, but if I hadn't wanted to play the mobile game, it would definitely have been a minor inconvenience.
Combat Pack is $30. $30 for 4 characters and some skins. That's half the price of the game if you bought it day one. And since the Combat Pack is $30, you know what that means. 30 more sins.
Hey, you called it what it actually is this time. Good job. I guess it comes down to perceived value and perspective. I think $5 for a character in a fighting game is pretty reasonable given the amount of work that goes into creating one. I mean, it's a lot of work. So that's $20 for the 4 characters, and the combat pack comes with 15 skins for various characters, making up the remaining $10. Fortnite regularly sells skins for $20. That's outrageous. I know Fortnite's a free game, but their store items are actually overpriced, unlike Mortal Kombat's. 15 skins for $10 doesn't sound bad to me at all. For complaining because people want to be paid for their work, I'll give you a sin for every legendary Fortnite skin you could afford for the cost of this combat pack. So that'll be 1 sin.
Gotcha!
And if you ever wondered why WB Games gets counted as a sin, it's because they are directly responsible for the bullshit business practices that I just listed. So now you know.
What bullshit practices? Oh, you must mean the completely innocuous, harmless, help keep the servers running, don't affect your gameplay negatively if you don't buy them, microtransactions, and the reasonably priced combat pack. I'm not removing the sins of the father sin just because you said now you know in a snarky tone. DLC can be done right and it can be done badly. MKX got it right. There's no loot boxes, it doesn't feel predatory, it doesn't feel exploitative, it does... In fact, you know what? I'm giving you a sin for complaining about DLC done right when there's actual shitty business practices out there worth complaining about.
Gotcha!
Faction wars. Sounds good on paper, ultimately pointless.
Not gonna disagree with you there. Although some of the faction kills are sweet as fuck.
Millions of years ago, Shinnok, one of the Elder Gods, turned on his fellow deities and invaded the Earthrealm.
Previously on Mortal Kombat.
What's wrong with providing context and setting up the main story?
Gotcha!
Video game cliche number 13, some random guy just standing around gawking at the obvious threat in front of him.
Bit of a petty thing to give a sin to, but hey, you're not wrong.
You have the rendezvous coordinates, far edge of the forest. From there we access the portal to Raiden's Sky Temple.
Where there's an angry former Elder God and his devils waiting for us.
Gods, portals, flying demons.
Okay, there's a few problems with this. This game takes place 2 years after Mortal Kombat 9, right? Why are these guys acting like gods, portals, and demons are something new?
Maybe they just think the demons are aliens or mutants or something. I don't think there was ever a televised announcement in the MK universe that told the whole world gods exist.
Gotcha!
Second, there's a portal to Raiden's Sky Temple? Doesn't that make it easier to invade him?
Only if you have the key, duh. Also, I'm pretty sure the portal is to keep normal mortals from stumbling across the temple. Can't Quan Chi just use his own portals to get to places, meaning he wouldn't need this specific portal?
Gotcha!
And lastly, even though this game does take place 2 years after Mortal Kombat 9, Quan Chi and Shinnok are just now executing their invasion? When literally at the end of Mortal Kombat 9 they were ready?
While Shinnok did indeed say it is time during that MK9 end scene, he also said I will soon be free, implying that it's going to take a little more time to prepare for his escape. And what's a mere 2 years to a fallen Elder God?
Gotcha!
The world has changed. For the worse, if we do not expel Shinnok from Raiden's temple. He means to poison Earthrealm's life force, the Jinsei.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jinsei? Life force of Earthrealm? 23 years of Mortal Kombat, and we're just now learning about this? Man, NetherRealm really is making this shit up as they go along.
Giving the game a sin because the writers didn't create decades worth of lore for their 1992 video game? Yeah, that's a sin.
Gotcha!
QuickTime events in Mortal Kombat. Why? Why? Especially when there's no consequence if you fail them. Pointless!
Hey, when you're right, you're right.
Look at this bullshit. This is exactly what I'm talking about. He is getting frozen and burned by Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the same time, and somehow he manages to survive. Because he's Johnny Cage. Get the hell out of here.
I tried to come up with arguments against this point, but I can't. It's just bullshit.
Also, can we mention how ridiculous it is that Johnny Cage is beating both Scorpion and Sub-Zero? This is like Dan beating up on Ryu and Ken. It's fucking embarrassing.
Not really. I think people like to write Johnny off just because he doesn't have any power. Oh wait, he can shoot green energy balls and make shadow clones of himself and stuff like that. There's no reason why he should be considered weaker than Sub or Scorpion.
Gotcha!
Johnny Cage could have easily shadow kicked Scorpion here, but spears him instead.
Because the shadow kick can be simply neutral ducked, while this grapple is likely a command grab. Since Scorpion couldn't jump or otherwise dodge it in that scenario, I'd say Johnny made the right call.
Gotcha!
The end is near.
The end is near trope.
I don't think this is a trope, it's just a threat. Next you'll be giving out sins when people say hi. Oh look, it's the one character grilling another character trope.
Gotcha!
Boy, look at this MK movie rematch, where Johnny Cage will win once again because the game demands it.
Wait, what's the sin for here? The fight featuring the same characters who once had a fight in a film that came out 20 years earlier? Or the fact that if the player wins, the player's character wins in the story? Fuck it, I'm just gonna give you a sin for being confusing.
Gotcha!
Gotta get back to the chopper.
Ha ha ha. Would have made more sense if you were fighting against Predator.
Would have made more sense if it was the quote you seem to think it was. Not every sentence with the word chopper in it is a reference to Predator.
Gotcha!
Sonya, get out of there!
Hey, remember when Sub-Zero froze somebody and they instantly shattered?
What, you mean when he touched their head and froze that solid and not their entire body, as you seem to be implying? It seems fairly obvious that Sub-Zero's freeze power is stronger on touch than it is in projectile form, so this shouldn't be a surprise.
And see, this is the biggest problem in story mode. The characters who shouldn't be that strong are OP as fuck, and the characters who should be strong are total weaklings. This game's like, special forces all the way, fuck everybody else. You will pay us attention and you will give us our fair due. No, I won't, and no, I won't.
Apart from all the times the special forces are overwhelmed, like when the combat kids faced Ferrator as a group in Outworld and nearly got wiped out. Or when they faced Katana as a group at Raiden's Temple and nearly got wiped out. Or when they faced Sub-Zero at the Lin Kuei Temple and actually got wiped out. That's right, Sub-Zero, the guy you say has been turned into a total weak link, single-handedly defeats the character who manages to single-handedly defeat the final boss of the game. But yeah, you're right. He's totally shown to be weak in the story.
Gotcha!
Also, your subtitles say fair do, as in D-O, but the phrase in this context is fair due. Because the American way for saying Jew is do, you may very well be using the correct version, but your subtitles sure aren't. Spelling and grammar mistakes? That's a sin.
Gotcha!
Well, I'll be damned. It is an easier way to invade Raiden's Sky Temple. You gotta have better security, my friend.
You don't know Quan Chi used Earthrealm's portal to get to Raiden's Temple. Like I said, Quan Chi can make his own portals.
Gotcha!
Also, Fujin is not a playable character in this game.
I agree, that is definitely a sin.
We must refortify the portal's defenses below.
No, Fujin. It is too late.
Raiden would be excellent at gamingsins. Why the hell would you refortify the defenses below when they've already made it to the top?
Huh. I guess Quan Chi's portals weren't sufficient. Looks like I'm gonna have to take back a couple of sins because god damn it if you weren't right about the portal. Also, I guess the whole needing a key thing was just thrown out the window.
Surely you are pleased to see your friends.
I just love how it's like, Cabal, Sindel, and Guy that nobody cares about. Oh, by the way, where's Jade again?
The way you feel about Stryker is the same way I feel about Sindel and Cabal, honestly. And as for Jade, she's elsewhere. Obviously.
Gotcha!
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Sindel wipe out 90% of Earthrealm's cast in the last game? Why would Quan Chi refer to her as Raiden's friend?
Because when she's not under a spell like Shao Kahn's resurrection magic or being a revenant slave to Quan Chi, she's a good guy, a benevolent ruler of Edenia. She was probably an ally to Raiden before Shao Kahn merged Edenia with Outworld.
Gotcha!
Prototype Jax.
I don't get it. Are you referencing Prototype Jack from Tekken? What does he have to do with what we see here? Did you just sin the game because you made a bad, confusing pun?
Gotcha!
Smoke. Smoke is dead. I am an Enra.
Whoa, an Enra? So is Smoke's ending from MK9 canon? That's what he referred to himself after he beat Shao Kahn.
Burned alive, he returned to the mortal realm as an Enra, a creature of smoke and vapor. Now aware of his true identity, Smoke understands he is no mere assassin. His destiny has been revealed.
So that means Smoke is the real champion of Mortal Kombat. Well, game doesn't bother to care about details, so ding!
Just because part of a character's ending came true, that doesn't mean the whole ending is canon. If that were the case, then Jade would also have won the tournament, since it seems likely that the mysterious woman in her MK9 ending is either Chronica or Cetrion, probably Cetrion, we don't know. And there can't be two champions. Also, Smoke didn't look dead or in revenant form in his MK9 ending, but in MKX he's totally dead, so it doesn't look like his ending is canon at all.
Gotcha!
And claiming the game doesn't care about details as a conclusion reached by ignoring details is worthy of a second sin.
Gotcha!
The real Jax wouldn't punch his best friend.
Johnny Cage, killing you will be a pleasure.
Okay, there's a couple problems with this. First of all, the real Jax currently in this scene is dead, so there's no point in bringing that up.
Well, yeah, he's dead. That's kind of a prerequisite for being a Revenant. I don't get why the game was sinned for this.
Gotcha!
Second, are the Revenants just evil versions of themselves? I mean, they seem to retain the same memories, even pointing out the names of their comrades. Like, what's the point in brainwashing them to become your servants if they can retain the same memories? What about the off chance that their spirit, who has the memories, can fight against the corruption of the netherrealm? Why not just erase their memory entirely so that they can become completely obedient into serving Shinnok? Confusing shit, ain't it?
No, it's not that confusing. They're dead. They were brought back from the dead using evil magics, and they're forced to do Quan Chi's bidding. That's about it. As for why wouldn't you just wipe their memory, number one, why would you want to make them lose all their combat experience? What good would a zombie who can't remember how to fight be? And number two, what makes you think Quan Chi's magic includes memory wiping powers in the first place?
Gotcha!
Sento contains the souls of my ancestors. They guide me.
Thanks for that random exposition, Kenshi.
I mean, you said this, but honestly, thanks Kenshi for the exposition. In just a couple of seconds, I went from not knowing what Kenshi was doing to understand that he's being guided by his ancestors to locate the portal. You give sins when the game doesn't explain stuff properly, then you give sins for when they do give explanations? I'm giving you 7 sins for inconsistency.
Man, this is some straight up MK deception bullshit right here.
I don't get it. What about this scene is MK deception bullshit? I honestly don't know what part of deception you're referring to or why you sinned this. For being confusingly vague, I'm giving you a sin.
Gotcha!
Video game cliche number 14. Couple of characters just standing around gawking at the obvious threats surrounding them.
Yeah, probably because there's not really much they can do in this situation. I mean, how would you combat Shinnok's entrance cloud?
Gotcha!
Big mistake in giving Shinnok pupils for his eyes. It makes him less sinister, thus less threatening.
I wouldn't even call this a mistake, let alone a big one. Shinnok never looks sinister or threatening anyway, so this isn't even much of a change.
Gotcha!
Just FYI, Shinnok's amulet is one of the most powerful talismans in all of Mortal Kombat. It's basically the Kami Dogu, which has the power to end existence itself. Just keep that in mind. Saving the hero in the nick of time cliche.
Yeah, it's a cliche that's used for dramatic effect. So what? There wouldn't have been much tension or sense of drama if Johnny had shown up before Raiden and Fujin were even knocked through the door of the Jinsei chamber.
Gotcha!
Miserable wretch! Insignificant speck of feculent scum! How dare you!
Well, there goes your intimidation cred. No wonder why you got your Elder God license revoked.
Again, he never had any intimidation. If he was intimidating, they wouldn't have had to create an actual intimidating form for him to morph into when you play the arcade ladder. I'm giving you 1 sin for thinking he was ever intimidating.
Gotcha!
1 sin for complaining that he's now suddenly not intimidating.
Gotcha!
And 30 sins, that's right, 30 sins, for not liking the insult he hurls Johnny's way. It's such a harsh insult considering he didn't use any swear words. He's basically calling Johnny a universally inconsequential piece of shit. I've always loved that line.
That is mine!
Elder God Shinnok resorts to a 12-year-old who got his toy stolen.
What would you rather, he said.
Gotcha!
Shinnok channels his inner Neo, which normally would be badass, but it only makes him look more ridiculous.
It doesn't make him look any more ridiculous than he already does. Remember, his badass levels have always been at 0.
Gotcha!
Well, you guys just witnessed it. Johnny Cage's shadow energy can block out the power of Shinnok, a former Elder God. See what I mean by certain characters being OP as fuck?
He survived the blast from Shao Kahn's energy in MK9 without having put his shadow glow thing up first. I think this is just another case of people underestimating Johnny Cage.
Gotcha!
I'm not sure what just happened to me, but I am sure of this. You don't even think of hurting her.
Well, he was just about to claim her soul, you idiot.
It was just a threat, not a fundamental misunderstanding of the scenario. Idiot.
Gotcha!
Okay, Johnny Cage defeating Shinnok. Sell this to me. Justify this. Don't use story mode as an excuse. Legitimately explain to me how this happens. I will count this as a sin as I wait for your response.
Because it's a fighting game and Shinnok is a playable character? It wouldn't be fun if Shinnok just walked all over the player during gameplay. You know, sometimes video games have to forego reality in the name of entertainment, right? There, I justified it and I didn't use story mode as an excuse. I would just give you the one sin here, but since you got cocky and told me to keep the sin on there until I do what I just did, knowing you'll never take the sin back, I'm going to take it back right now. So that's 2 sins for this one.
Gotcha!
Why, in the name of all the realms that exist, would Shinnok create an amulet that could imprison him? There has got to be some part of MK lore that I missed because this is incomprehensible.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that maybe in order to create an amulet that powerful, he had to turn friendly fire on. Being able to wield magic in MK doesn't give a person total omnipotence, allowing them to create instant wind machines. They can't just do whatever they want whenever they want. They're not the writers.
Gotcha!
Sonya Blade is no damsel in distress. But I guess the writers were like, fuck it, she is now!
They're doing it to establish the bond and tender moments between Johnny and Sonya, so the sudden arrival of Cassie doesn't seem quite so out of the blue. And if you're wondering why it wasn't Johnny that needed rescuing, I point you to the end of the story where he's in the same situation Sonya was here. Equality!
Gotcha! Remain here. The Chamber's properties will heal Sonya Blade in short order.
You want to know who could have also used some healing? Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Katana, Jade, Nightwolf, Smoke, Cabal. You know everybody who died in MK9?
Yes, those people died in MK9. Raiden didn't say the Jinsei can restore people from the dead, only that it heals them quickly. What you said is like saying, why don't people take their dead relatives to the hospital?
Gotcha!
Let us take the amulet to the Elder Gods.
They cannot destroy it. No one can.
Oh, great. Elder Gods confirmed for garbage tier. Like, what's the point, man?
You can't give MKX a sin for the famously useless Elder Gods once more being useless. Well, you can, but it means I'm gonna sin you right back. I bet if the Elder Gods were used to destroy the amulet, you'd sin the game for having to rely on a Deus Ex Machina. Don't try to deny it.
Gotcha!
The war is not over. Quan Chi has escaped. Why are you smiling?
Hey, you're blind. How can you tell that he's smiling?
Probably the same way he's able to go toe-to-toe with fighting legends in combat. He's fucking psychic.
Gotcha!
Johnny Cage's default costume. Absolutely wretched.
Disagree.
Gotcha!
Kung Jin.
What's wrong with Kung Jin? Sure, he's cocky and arrogant, but he's a pretty good character to introduce to the roster, utilizing a staff that's also a bow. He's more interesting and entertaining than Cassie and Jackie.
Gotcha!
How about you, Cassie? Can you summon anything like that? Or did it skip a generation?
Hey Kung Jin, you know that other Kung that's like 1,000,000 times better than you? And that other Kung before him that's also 1,000,000 times better than you? Did Shaolin Badassery skip a generation?
Complaining about Kung Jin without actually mentioning a single specific thing you dislike about him.
Gotcha!
You're all here because you deserve to be. You're beautiful and unique snowflakes.
Snowflakes.
Disliking snowflakes.
Gotcha!
Today is our team's 6-week anniversary.
Sorry, bruh, but a 6-week anniversary for anything is a sin.
Saying bruh.
Gotcha!
He was smart enough to have Mr. Cage put this team together.
I'm glad the Shura Ryu chose me to join. New places, new faces.
I'm totally into you, but I'm gonna act all disgusted face.
I don't know if that's a disgusted face, and even if it is, maybe she doesn't know she likes him that way yet.
Gotcha!
Why be worried about Outworld? I thought Kotal Khan respected the Reiko Accords.
Mortal Kombat Commandments number 8. Thou shalt not speak of thy lame characters such as Reiko. Yeah, you heard me right. I said Reiko is a lame-ass character. Bootleg Shao Kahn gets no props from us.
Giving a sin for world building.
Gotcha!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Outworld Civil War. By far the most interesting storyline in this game. Too bad you won't be spending too much time on it. You'll have to read the prequel comic for that.
Totally agree. The story should be in the game, not external media you have to buy separately. Looking at you, Final Fantasy 15.
The 2 most badass characters in the game are resorted to measly henchmen, who will get a grand total of 5 minutes of screen time, combined.
Somewhat agree. Both characters definitely needed more screen time, but the problem with henchmen, jobbers as everyone seems to be calling them these days, is that they're rarely the focus of the story since, you know, their boss is kinda more important. But you called them the 2 most badass characters in the game? I'm just gonna sin you for factual incorrectness.
Gotcha!
Accident ahead. This one will clear it.
So are you a Hanar now? This one lied. This one deceived. This one does not play second fiddle to Kotal Khan.
I had to Google what a Hanar was, and I played Mass Effect 2. I would have gone for a Khajiit reference myself, but no matter. I'm sinning you for sinning Devora's dialect. Racist.
Gotcha!
Diva Walk.
How is that a sin? I always thought it was badass the way she goes to take a look and simply commands respect. After all you're complaining about people not being badass enough, I thought you'd give Devora a pass since she's so damn badass.
Gotcha!
I see that Rain is still rocking his goofy Sultan look.
Knocking Rain's best costume.
Gotcha!
See, this is exactly why time jumps suck. They're lazy, and if you didn't read the prequel comic, you'd be like, well, how the hell did she get the amulet? Details, man. They are important.
You're supposed to wonder how she got the amulet, and it is explained in the game's story if you pay attention to the details you yourself say are so important. In Chapter 6, Rain tells Devora and Cassie that stealing the amulet was his genius, and in Chapter 10, Raiden tells Bo Rai Cho, when Kano misappropriated Shinnok's amulet, he left behind a snare. Disarming the snare took a lot out of Raiden, which is why he's at the temple to recuperate in the Jinsei. So when you pay attention to the details, it becomes clear that Rain and Melina hatched a plan to steal the amulet, and had Kano steal it for them. Any further details obviously aren't particularly relevant to the game's story, and even if they explicitly stated how it happened, you'd probably send them for exposition.
Gotcha!
The rain falls when it may.
Puns, quips, jokes
are sinnable offenses, apparently.
Gotcha!
My goodness, look at this stupid bullshit of Ermac, one of the most powerful characters in all of Mortal Kombat, moving one crate at a time.
Yeah, that's bullshit, I agree with you.
You know, this fight is quite one-sided. Let's make it a little bit more fair.
You wound me, Kano. Your offer of aid was but wind and air.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Kotal Khan. You trusted Kano, so you get exactly what you deserve.
So you made us sit through that whole fight for no reason since it didn't pertain to the sin you were handing out? Like, at all? I'm giving you 2 sins for that one.
Gotcha!
And speaking of Kotal Khan, I really hate how NetherRealm made him so skinny. He is a Khan, the Emperor of Outworld. He should be the most physically imposing character in the game. Look at this. Look at the select screen. Kano is more physically imposing than Kotal Khan, okay? And I'm a big fan of Kano, but this is ridiculous.
So because one Khan of Outworld was huge, you think that the mere act of becoming Khan makes someone suddenly grow into a ginormous unit? I didn't see Melina growing and becoming physically imposing when she was Khan, or hear you complaining that she didn't. But you expect Kotal to do it?
Gotcha!
Damn, Tanya's looking sexier than ever, and I feel ashamed saying that. It's like, hey Tanya, now that you got lighter skin, you look a little bit more attractive. Not cool.
Sinning the game because you happen to find Tanya more attractive in this one.
Gotcha!
Melina.
Kano was to kill you, miserable snake!
The hell are you talking about, Melina? You were watching the entire fight.
Not necessarily. She could have been watching other things that were going on in the commotion, giving orders to her Tarkatan soldiers and whatnot. She probably thought Kano would get the job done and didn't bother wasting her attention on that part of the operation. But it's hard to tell, so I won't sin you for this one.
Well, here you go, people. Evident proof. Rain is a fully functional character, yet he is not a playable character in the game. I'm guessing he will be saved for Combat Pack number 2 later down the road. Blame it on the WB!
Except he's not a fully functional character, he just kinda looks like one here, which is good enough for the implementation of him in the story. Rain, along with the other NPCs you fight in the story, are merely copied and pasted from MK9. As such, they haven't been balanced for competitive play in MKX like the playable characters have been, they haven't been fleshed out with 3 variations, and most likely haven't been given new finishing moves. They're little more than clever illusions that appear to be finished characters and give people who don't actually do research the false impression that NRS is just holding them back for DLC.
Gotcha!
And no, he wasn't saved for Combat Pack 2.
Gotcha!
You won't touch him again.
Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him before someone strikes your hand off! Too late!
I'm going to refer you to my earlier comment regarding dramatic effect.
Gotcha!
Rendezvous here, the north entrance.
Then what? A simple pick up and go?
We bag him if he resists.
Resistance might be more possible than you think.
Don't sweat it. It comes to that, Sub-Zero won't know what hit him.
You guys actually think you can bag Sub-Zero. You guys are hilarious.
Mocking inexperienced trainees for not displaying the qualities the training mission they're currently on was designed to teach them. Those being humility, cooperation, and not underestimating your opponent. Dick move.
Gotcha!
Okay, this statue looks strikingly similar to Quan Chi. Now, I am aware that Quan Chi hired the Lin Kuei to capture Shinnok's amulet, and in return he would wipe out the Shirai Ryu, which did happen in this timeline. However, in one of Sub-Zero's intros, he says this.
I am not your enemy.
Then why reform the Lin Kuei?
We have debts to repay.
Now, if you truly wish to repay your debts, why not destroy this statue of Quan Chi and start anew? Why do you keep bowing to it even if it's just to lure in the special forces? Well, since the game doesn't bother to care about details, it's getting counted as a sin.
While it does indeed look pretty much exactly like Quan Chi, I find it hard to believe that it is him, given the reasons you mentioned. I think it's far more likely to just be an old Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, perhaps even the first Grandmaster. Because that would make sense.
Gotcha!
Okay, you want to know the real sin here, and quite frankly one of the biggest sins throughout the game? Check this out. So Sub-Zero single-handedly takes out this entire Young Justice League of Earthrealm. And yet, by the end of the game, they're the ones that end up saving Earthrealm. So basically, if they're not the playable character, they exist only to job and make you look good. The inconsistency levels are beyond astronomical.
Supposed canonical power levels don't mean jack in a game that tries to be as balanced as possible with its characters. It wouldn't be fun if one character was just objectively far more deadly than the others during actual gameplay. Would you have been happier with the story if literally every single fight ended in a draw? Not to mention, the combat kids are more inexperienced here than they are later on in the story, and even then, Kitana pretty much takes them all out on her own. The jump in skill of the combat kids isn't as large as you seem to think it is, and it's only Cassie's accidental usage of the power of love that ultimately allows her to defeat Shinnok.
Gotcha!
The new plan, Cage?
You could have followed the old one, Jin.
Jackie would be excellent at gaming sins. We'd hire her if she was real.
Sinning the game because a character makes a good point.
Gotcha!
Come on now. You're all winners in my book.
Yeah, even though you all got your asses kicked by Sub-Zero single-handedly.
He was being ironic towards the millennials, like when he called them snowflakes earlier. Do you think he really thinks they're winners based on that performance?
Gotcha!
Sorry, Sonia, there is only one hot blonde fighting game chick that can rock the unusually long braided pigtails, and you are not her.
So you sinned the game earlier for making your dick hard, and now you're sinning it for not making your dick hard?
Gotcha! This is Li Mei. She seeks asylum for her people in Earthrealm.
Wow, so they not only decombated Li Mei, but she also looks like a discount Kelly Hu. Funny thing is, Kelly Hu is in this game. She voices Devora. Funny how everything works out, right?
Sinning the game for a callback to a previous game.
Gotcha!
A talisman, gold, with a center jewel. Melina wields its crimson energy without precision.
Well, that's good then.
How is that a good thing? Let me put this scenario in front of you. Some guy has a fully loaded AK-47. He's surrounded by a bunch of people. He doesn't know how to shoot. He pulls the trigger. Guess how that turns out?
Yeah, I don't know.
If this talisman is what I suspect it to be, we may all pay a price.
Raiden, you have one job. Protect Earthrealm. Kano was the one who stole Shinnok's amulet and gave it to Melina. How did that happen? See, this is why details are important. Yet another reason why time jumps suck.
Nope, it's not important how Kano stole the amulet. What's important is that he stole it. Maybe Raiden was distracted. Maybe he wasn't very good at protecting Earthrealm, as seems to be his defining character trait. Kano stole it, that's all that matters. We don't need to be bogged down with inconsequential details of every event that happens.
Gotcha!
I'm going to the refugee camp. Gotta get to him before he finds a way out.
I'll come with.
Go get an update on camp security from Colonel Flagg.
Why?
Because then you won't be here.
Now, generally, romance issues are irrelevant since everybody goes through them, but this is a particular case where it does matter. How the hell did these two get to the point where they're at? What caused them to break up? How come they have so much animosity towards each other? What stick does Sonya have up her ass this week? Details, man. You know what? You already get the point.
Yeah, because we all clamor for those juicy relationship trouble plot lines in our fighting games, don't we? Remember what I said about being bogged down by inconsequential details? Plus, I think the answer to most of those questions is simply that Sonya's just a grumpy bitch.
Gotcha!
Li Mei has to be telling the truth.
An invasion would violate the Reiko Accords.
Breaking Mortal Kombat Commandments number 8 again.
Sinning the game for breaking bullshit rules you made up.
Gotcha!
It's not an alliance. Non-aggression pact. Outworld is not our ally.
A point you might make with more subtlety, given your surroundings.
Sorry, Black, you did not hear this conversation amongst this huge crowd.
It's not like he was a mile away or that the crowd was being particularly loud.
Gotcha!
I can read you. You're not from Outworld.
I'm from Earthrealm, like you. But my employer, Kotal Khan, is from Outworld. So now I'm from Outworld.
That is some of the dumbest logic I've ever heard in my life. Come on, Black, you're a cool character. Why are you spouting out this nonsense?
Because his defining character trait is that he's only in it for the money. He's the ultimate mercenary. He's not saying he's literally an Outworlder. He's pointing out the fact that his employer is an Outworld, so he operates in Outworld. Almost like he's an honorary Outworlder.
Gotcha!
You take us to the con, I'll tell him you took us down. Maybe you get a bonus. You can't lose.
Follow me.
Greed.
You call it greed, I call it the driving force behind every action he takes. Remember, according to you, this is one of the two most badass characters in the game, and all he ever does is follow the money like a mindless zombie.
Gotcha!
Death? For petty theft?
Remember where you are.
Kung Jin once again foolishly endangers his entire group, this time risking an interdimensional war for a bread thief. Worst character in the game confirmed.
It's a dumb move made by a young, brash, and emotional character who, need I remind you, was once a thief himself. It's likely he feels stronger than you or I about such a harsh punishment for thievery. It's actions like this that contrast how much growth he displays by the end of the game when he actually works as part of the team for once and learns to follow orders. Sure, he risked interdimensional war, but does that really make him the worst character? By your logic, Scorpion should be the worst character because he's pretty instrumental in allowing Shinnok to return to Earthrealm later in the story due to his bad temper.
Gotcha!
I think Ferrotor's in the wrong game. They should be in Resident Evil. I mean, come on, Tor is literally the Executioner and Dr. Salvador combined.
Using the word literally when you literally mean the opposite.
Gotcha!
The Earthrealmers, yes. This one must learn more of your diplomatic techniques.
We're here to see Kotal Khan. General Blades...
You interfere with Outworld matters. The penalty is death.
Devore wishes to learn about their diplomatic techniques only to immediately sentence them to death. Use a troll, Devora! Use a troll!
I think she was just being sarcastic, dude.
Gotcha!
But, as we honor the Reiko Accords...
Breaking Mortal Kombat Commandment number 8 again!
This is the third time you've sinned the game for this. I'm gonna give you 5 sins for repetition.
Gotcha!
You want to take this opportunity to tell us what the fuck shit you were thinking?
I gotta wonder why you'd risk interrealm war for a bread thief.
See, Kung Jin, even your own teammates recognize your stupidity.
Yes, because they don't have his perspective. I'm not saying they're in the wrong for chastising him for it, but I am saying you're wrong for sinning the game for them chastising him for it.
Gotcha!
Lazy writing 101. If you don't have any development for your character in the main storyline, just give them a flashback. It'll make the audience understand them and make them care about them more. No it won't.
It's almost like delving into a character's past to learn more about them is a common writing technique. Would you rather they showed this scene at the beginning and included a time jump? I know how much you love time jumps.
Gotcha!
Man, I wish I was playing Shaolin Monks right now.
I've seen Shaolin Monks, and I have no idea why you'd rather be playing that than MKX.
Gotcha! Your family honored me with this memento of your cousin Lao after his death.
A death you caused! You made him fight Shao Kahn and stood there while that bastard snapped his neck!
You go too far, Kung Jin.
Sorry, Raiden. For once he's right. You will have to forever hold those L's in your chest. Don't be salty about it.
People who volunteer to enter a Mortal Kombat tournament know that they risk death. I don't think Raiden can be held accountable for when Shao Kahn fights dirty. There were plenty of other people stood there watching Kung Lao die. Kung Jin's just being a dick here, implying that Raiden might as well have been the killer himself. And I agree with Raiden. That's out of order.
Gotcha! They care only about what is in your heart, not whom your heart desires.
It's too late for me.
No, it's not, Jin. You are not a revenant. Then's when it's too late.
But you can be returned from revenancy, so even then it's not too late.
Gotcha!
Story mode or not, Kung Jin defeating Kotal Khan in any universe is a sin. I mean, this is just another example of the inconsistency levels in this game. Literally 10 minutes ago, Kung Jin got his ass handed to him by Sub-Zero. Now he beats the freaking Emperor of Outworld? Ridiculous!
Again, do you think that accepting the title of Khan turns someone into some kind of super being who can't be defeated in combat?
Gotcha!
I thought we got rid of this dumb communicator bullshit from MK versus DC. I guess I was wrong.
What's dumb about hologram technology?
Gotcha!
Raiden, what'd you find?
Shinnok's amulet has been stolen, replaced by an exquisite duplicate.
Like I said before, Raiden, you had one job. One job!
You are no longer worthy of being protector of Earthrealm.
Yeah, he had one job, but it's an incredibly difficult one that's comprised of many smaller jobs. I think you sell Raiden short by calling his task of protecting the whole realm just one job.
Gotcha! Something is wrong. I will speak to you once
Losing a connection right before something important, cliche.
I hate that cliche too.
This is what split us up in the first place. You disappear in your work. Never time for me and Cassie.
I had responsibilities. Sorry you couldn't be the center of attention.
There was a time when you cared more about your family than your job. General.
Sorry, Sonia. I'm with Johnny on this one. I knew plenty of women who put their job before their kids. Guess what? Their kids turned out to be shitheads. You lose!
Wait, so you're not even going to mention the fact that this is the relationship trouble bullshit you complained wasn't in the game earlier? In this scene, they explain why they broke up, which was literally one of your questions you sinned the game for not answering. Since you didn't remove the sin you gave earlier when the game didn't give you any of these vital story details, I'm going to give you 2 here.
Gotcha!
I wouldn't do that.
Aw, come on. Where's your sense of adventure?
Character making a dumbass decision for the sake of adventure trope.
Also known as Johnny Cage being Johnny Cage. This is exactly what I'd expect him to do.
Gotcha!
Quick question, are you a fan of Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Jax, or Quan Chi? If you are, you must be having a ball seeing them get their asses kicked. Yep, just another example of inconsistent power levels.
We're back to sinning the game based on your made-up power levels list? Okay then. Yes, it seems unlikely that Sonya would be able to hold her own against Scorpion and Quan Chi at the same time, but it also seemed unlikely that Kung Lao would be able to hold his own against Shang Tsung and Quan Chi in MK9, a pairing who Liu Kang couldn't defeat in the original timeline, but he did it. So you never know, I guess.
Gotcha!
Johnny Cage doesn't immediately die from this.
Why would he? It's not like he was stabbed through the brain. Looks like he was stabbed in the center of his chest, so the blade likely missed his heart and lungs. And once again, I think you're underestimating Johnny Cage.
Gotcha!
Whoa, now I'm really confused as shit. So, the Revenants come in different bodies? If that's the case, then how come when they defeat Quan Chi later on, Jax, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero return to life in their original bodies? Need some clarification here.
Yeah, I'll agree. That makes no fucking sense.
Game has interactables, but no stage fatalities. And yes, actual stage fatalities, not those bullshit stage brutalities. Those don't count.
I'm not going to sin you for bitching about a lack of stage fatalities, because it did kind of suck, although they added some in with Combat Pack 2's update. But that was 7 months after your video was uploaded, so you couldn't know. However, I'm awarding you 10 sins for the crime of calling stage brutalities bullshit. Brutalities and stage brutalities in MKX are fucking awesome. And I will not have their besmirchment go unpunished.
I guess transforming into a Revenant is just as slow as downloading a porn video on a dial-up connection.
I'm sure you're pretty proud of that joke, but honestly, I'd say this seems like a pretty quick process considering it's essentially making a human clone from scratch, and the person it's a clone of isn't even dead yet.
Gotcha!
Ha ha ha. Raiden Ex Machina. Man, Raiden out of nowhere!
I can't disagree with you here.
Speaking of Ex Machinas, Quan Chi's fortress is in the Netherrealm in this timeline. Aren't Raiden's powers weak in other realms, especially the Netherrealm? How's he able to perform this spell? Push Johnny Cage, bury Liu Kang.
His powers are weakened, not eliminated.
Gotcha!
This will easily go down as one of the most awful segments in Mortal Kombat history. And that's saying something. They have essentially made Quan Chi, one of the most powerful sorcerers in all of Mortal Kombat, into a little bitch. I mean, I get it, Sonya is an MKOG, but this is embarrassing, man. And to top it all off...
No!
Yeah, absolutely embarrassing.
You have ruined the source of his sorcery!
Seeing a bad guy get his comeuppance is a sinnable offense now?
Gotcha!
The others are restored to the living. By coupling Quan Chi's dark magics to my own, I was able to restore their souls.
You want to know who could have also had their souls restored? Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Jade, Smoke, Cabal, Nightwolf. Are you getting annoyed yet? Good, because I'm annoyed that you killed them off.
Number 1, those characters aren't in the vicinity. It seems Raiden can only restore people at Quan Chi's fortress. And number 2, while Raiden did kill Liu Kang in self-defense, Shao Kahn killed Kung Lao, and Sindel killed all of those other characters. You can't pin it all on Raiden just because you're salty.
Gotcha!
And that's the end of part 1. I'm not going to make it all one long video because that would be insane. Thank you so much for watching and sticking through with it all the way to, well, the end of this video, but the halfway point of the project. And I'll see you in part 2, where I just continue to wreck these fools. Dropping knowledge on their asses. Peace.